Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. I just finished watching Naked and Afraid Apocalypse episode 5, and if I had to give this episode a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it a solid 6. I think that this episode was effective when it came to portraying scenes of suspense and drama, but there was one scene that made me question if something was a little too good to be true, yet again. So over the course of this review, I'll talk about the important happenings from the episode, and I will then talk about the team starting from the strongest to the weakest. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. The first important happening will be the rebound of Steven, Frank, and Alexa. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse for this team, things start to get better. Steven, Frank, and Alexa attempt to finish their shelter by putting an extremely heavy piece of metal on top of the shelter, but the material was so heavy that it nearly destroyed the beams that supported it. Nevertheless, Alexa and Steven were able to pivot and finish the shelter with foliage as its roof, while Frank found several scorpions for the team to eat, and he also constructed a bird trap that could catch a guinea. The next important happening will be Teal and Wise having another week of getting extremely lucky. In this episode, Teal is tasked with taking a bow and going hunting. On Teal's first hunting attempt, she encounters a herd of animals that she is less than 30 feet from, but when she goes to aim for her shot, she misses, which causes the herd to scatter. Had Frank or Steven or even Wise been in the same position, they would have gotten at least one kill shot out of the group. But later in the episode, we see Teal hunting a diker, and I wouldn't even call it hunting. From my understanding of dikers, they are fast, and wild dikers are afraid of people. Yet when Teal encounters this particular diker, it's just sitting under a tree, daydreaming, and it doesn't have a care in the world. And Teal was standing in plain sight when she encountered it. Teal literally walked up on the diker, took aim from less than 20 feet away, and got a kill shot on the first attempt. With some of Wise and Teal's meat getting spoiled from episode 4, what are the odds that Wise and Teal will get two extremely rare and easy opportunities to get a much needed protein score? One could also ask, what was the deal with this diker? Was it near death? Was it drugged up? Maybe I'm looking too much into this, but this is essentially the second time this season where a team of survivalists literally walk on a stationary animal and they're able to shoot without any issues. The next important happening would be Wes and Steve getting two very close encounters. In this episode, we see Wes and Steve processing protein from episode 4. In one scene, we see a lion less than 100 yards from the camp, roaring at Wes and Steve and charging at the boma before scurrying away. And in another scene, Wes is laying inside the boma when Steve points out that there's a black mamba very close to Wes's head. Now, before watching this episode, I was almost certain that production offered some form of protection to cast members, and they wouldn't allow a cast member to get attacked by a wild animal. In my opinion, this explains why the hungry lion didn't have survivalists for lunch in this episode. But the black mamba? I don't know about Wes or Steve, but if I saw a black mamba in person, I would have gotten out of Dodge and made my exit. There's no way that I would risk my life for any reality TV show, and if Wes and Steve tapped out of the challenge because of the black mamba, I wouldn't have faulted them for doing so. And the last important happening would be Joe's decline before getting a much needed lifeline. Joe without a doubt is one of the strongest survivalists on this season of the show. He has been on his own for almost 2 weeks, and while the odds are stacked against him, he's too stubborn to voluntarily tap out of the challenge. In this episode, Joe is still having issues with that pesky elephant. So Joe decides to spend much needed calories on ways to defend himself against this elephant. As I'm watching this unfold, I'm constantly asking myself, Joe, why don't you just migrate to another camp? Sure, leaving is a risk, but it is a necessary risk at this point. But Joe stands his ground, and it pays off because by the end of this episode, he scores a much needed catfish. Most survivalists in Joe's position would have given up a long time ago, but Joe is sticking it out as long as he can, and he has earned much respect from me and other fans of the show. Now let's switch gears and talk about the teams in the order of strongest to weakest. As of right now, the strongest team has to be Wise and Teal. In 2 straight episodes, the team has secured 2 crucial protein scores, and if a hungry lion doesn't find his way into the boma, there's absolutely nothing that will prevent this team from seeing the end of the challenge. Next, there's Steven, Frank, and Alexa. This team took a bit of a hit last week, but they rebounded from last week by coming together and getting things done as a team. When it comes to teamwork, I still believe that this team has set the standard for what teamwork looks like when everybody is on the same page and agree on the common goal. So once again, I don't see any challenges that will prevent anybody on this team from reaching the end of the challenge. Next, there's Wes and Steve. Sure, these two have had two frightening things happen to them in this episode, but I'm almost certain that production will step in and they will deter any predators from harming the cast, even if it means hunters or security on standby have to intervene if needed. Because of that, I don't foresee Wes or Steve tapping out of the challenge, but I can understand their hesitancy to continue going forward. And lastly, there's the team of one, good old Joe. If I'm being honest, then I gotta admit that it was hard seeing Joe struggle this week. Joe could have probably lived on one catfish per week, but surviving and thriving are two different things. And I don't doubt that Joe will be able to survive the entirety of this challenge by himself, barely eating anything. But at what cost would it be to him? I don't believe that Joe will tap out of the challenge, but I do believe that Joe would eventually meet another group before the end of the challenge. I don't foresee Joe walking out the extraction without meeting somebody else. But that's my opinion, and this marks the end of the review. Please feel free to leave all comments below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.